What's up, everybody? Kellen from Action Backers here. Hopefully you're doing well. We're back from the brink. What's going on, everybody? So if you've been following the Bankroll Challenge for a while, and just as a reminder, we started with $100 and we're trying to run it up as much as we can using the MLB models. We were down pretty bad. If we switch over to Action Backers here, we were down $65. And that was actually more than $65 because we had originally been up around 16. So we had quite the downswing. But as you can see, we've stuck with it and we've kept grinding, and we're finally back from the brink of defeat. We're showing a little bit of profit. Is it good? No. Is it better than being dead and having the Bankroll Challenge roll on? Absolutely. So a few things that I just wanted to showcase or to take into consideration here is the fact that looking at the breakdown of spread bets, both plus and minus 1.5, so the run line, they haven't had a significant impact. So you can see here, like taking the plus 1.5 after 50 bets, it's yielded a net profit of minus $2. Now, I could do some more in-depth analysis, and comment down below if you want me to do this. I could go back and historically look at these games and see where we would be had we just bet the money line instead of the plus 1.5. The issue with that, though, is because, like, obviously if they lost with the plus 1.5, they're going to lose the money line. The way that we could potentially make it up is if the odds were great enough on the money line, and I don't necessarily have the historical odds from when I made these bets for the money line. So that would be the challenge there. But it would be interesting to see how much better or worse, because these are some pretty bad like we're taking when we're taking the plus 1.5, it's because we're still getting plus money or close to plus money on the plus 1.5. So we're talking teams like Oakland. Oakland is a historically bad team this year. And so when we're taking them at plus 1.5 runs, we're still getting, like you can see here, we're still getting 2.0 decimal odds, which is plus 100 American. Same with the Nationals. The Nationals are not good. And here, plus 1.5 is paying 2.04. So even on the plus 1.5 runs, we're still getting positive money. So we're taking a shot. And to clarify, the model does not have these teams winning in these scenarios. And I know I've gone over this, but it's important to reiterate this because especially if you're just watching this and you haven't watched the whole series, if you see this and it's like, well, why is the model so confident on these terrible teams? And it's not. It just has these terrible teams losing less often than the odds suggest. So it's still placing the bet with the understanding that they're going to lose a good chunk of the time. And if I come into the models, I might be able to find, I don't know if there are any right now, but I'll try and find one to illustrate my point. So for instance, here's one with the Rockies. So you can see, based on the FanDuel odds right now, the juice-free win probability is around 34.5%. And the model only predicts them winning 40% of the time. So the model still has them losing, but it has them winning 6% more often than the odds suggest. So in this case, that's why it's green, and that's why it's saying you should actually place a small bet here. And then in this case, because again, so if I were looking at this, if I were going through and I've already placed my bets, I might have already placed a bet on this one. I think the odds have changed since I have. But if I were looking at this, how I've been handling it is I would say, okay, well, we're not gonna win all that often. We're still getting good plus money on the plus 1.5 runs. So I'm going to take the plus 1.5 runs here and give us so even if we lose by 1, we're gonna cash a nice bet. So we are leaving some money on the table when they win outright, And that's sort of what I'm curious about, but I don't have a great way of tracking that right now. If I could do it going forward, I could just, place a bet on both, and then I would have that data going forward. So again, comment down below if you think that's interesting. That's something I can do, because again, I can track this. I can put in dummy amounts, it doesn't matter, just to track it so we have it historically. So that's just the note on the run lines. They haven't really had a huge impact. And then again, this is also, I was testing the totals for a little bit for like, I think 11 or 12 bets, and it resulted in a net loss of around $11. So if we're looking at the true spirit of the bet, we'd probably be up $11, so close to like around $14, but I'm not going to sweat it too much. That's still 1% ROI here. The biggest takeaway though for me is sticking with our change that we made. We've actually been profitable in May. So May 1st to present date, we're up $22. And the only change that I made that I talked about was I've been less hands-on in choosing the bets. I've been just letting the model, so the model obviously it gets better as the season goes on, as it gets more data. It gets more bullish on teams and it backs off of other teams. And I've been trying to just use the model data that's there and let it make the decisions for me. Whereas earlier on in the season, I would say, well, I don't want to pay that much juice, or I don't think they're going to win. I'm not going to risk it type thing. And I would introduce my own human biases, which if you're using a model, that's one of the most detrimental things you can do, is to pick and choose. Because the model, it's sort of like an all or nothing. And if you go all in, it can be profitable. But as soon as you introduce human biases, and this isn't just sports betting related, you can read about this. This is a big phenomenon on, say, Wall Street with stocks and things like that. Once you start deviating from what the model is saying and introducing human biases, it will compound your errors more quickly than if you didn't use a model at all. So that's what I'm trying to keep in mind. And just trying to go through and say, yes, okay, even, there's some games where I still think it's a little outrageous. I don't know if I have any clear examples here, where it's got, like here's a good one, the Mariners. So the odds have them at 58.9% to win, juice free, and the model suggests 68%. So the value from the model is coming from the fact that they both agree that they're a heavy favorite, but the model thinks they're going to win 2/3 of the time. And so the value is coming from that. So you're paying a lot of juice. So in the past, I would have maybe not made this bet because I prefer to bet on dogs. But again, making this change and actually starting to make these bets has started to yield a positive result. And so even though this is a smaller bet, and when we win the bet, we're not winning all that much, and when we lose, we're paying a lot of juice. It's paying off. It's starting to pay off and cover some of our riskier bets as well. So those are the big changes. Happy to report that after 2 months, we're basically right where we started from. So like I said, I did start a little earlier than I would have liked. April 7th. I usually wouldn't start betting if I were actually betting until probably mid-April, early May, just again to let things warm up, get fresh stats, get players acclimated to their new teams. But this is for fun, so it is good to see though that our month over month we're improving. So I'm hoping now as we move into June, we'll continue to improve and start to actually make some profit. So that's it for this one. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything else you want to see. Hopefully you enjoy this series, and remember, if you want to sign up for Action Backers, you get a free 14-day trial, and if you use code WELCOME20, you'll also get $20 off your first month. I will see you inside and see you in the next one.